All right, so we got some drama brewing here between Micah Parsons and the new Seattle Seahawk, DeMarcus Lawrence. So this whole thing gets kicked off by DeMarcus Lawrence saying this.
Dallas is my home. Made my home there. My family lives there. I'm forever going to be there. But, I know for sure I'm not going to win a Super Bowl there. So, yeah. Yeah. We here.
We're here. DeMarcus Lawrence, welcome to the Seahawks. Thanks for joining us.
All right, and then from there, Micah Parsons says this is what rejection and envy look like. This some clown shit. Clown emoji. Right? So Micah Parsons responded on Twitter to DeMarcus Lawrence saying, "This is the truth. I'm not going to win a Super Bowl in Dallas." Basically saying that either the front office or his teammates are a joke. And I mean, that's up for interpretation, right? Before DeMarcus Lawrence tweeted back to Micah, all right? Before D-Law sent this second tweet, you could say, well, he's just saying factually he's in Seattle now. So yeah, I mean, literally he's not going to win a Super Bowl in Dallas. But when you look at DeMarcus Lawrence's second tweet, he says, "Calling me a clown won't change the fact that I told the truth, okay? I told the truth." He's not saying it's a fact I won't win because I'm not there anymore. He's saying, I told the truth, meaning that this organization is a joke right now. Either the front office or his teammates. We don't really know which one he was talking about. Maybe all of it. And then he says, maybe if you spent less time tweeting and more time winning, I wouldn't have left. And that's the part that really ruffled my feathers. I didn't really care that D-Law said what he said before. Like, all right, we've seen players leave and take shots before. This isn't anything new. Whatever, dude. Doesn't bother me. Micah's response, pretty aggressive. And then D-Law obviously is going to respond to that. But his response saying that Micah tweets too much or focuses on social media too much and that he's not interested in winning, that's what set me off. Because this is a common sentiment that people have out there that Micah Parsons is focused on his podcast or whatever it might be. All right, Micah is recognized as one of the best defenders in the NFL. Hands down, he's about to get paid as one. All right. And listen, D-Law was really good for a very long time. He's kind of succumbed to injuries now. I'm surprised he got the deal he did with Seattle, but I was happy for him. I was happy for the guy. Glad he got the deal he got. I think it's an overpay for what he brings to the table now in his elderly NFL years. Some injury concerns there, but good for him, man. And here's where I have an issue just with kind of everything, all right? I've said it 1,000 times, whether I'm calling into Nick Eatman's show, the Storyline show, whether I'm on our spaces that we do on Wednesdays and Thursdays, whether I'm just out here tweeting, whatever it might be. Here's where I have an issue with this NFL organization and the players specifically. We have so many unprofessional players. And what I mean by that is if you go look at 2024, how many times did Mike McCarthy and some of the players like Jordan Lewis say, we didn't have a good week of practice, and that's why we struggled in the game? It happened after the Ravens game. It happened after the Saints game. All right, how many times did we hear that? When you're a professional in any profession, doesn't have to be football, it could be anything, all right? But you show up ready to work, all right? And when speaking about football now, when you show up to practice and you're having shit practices and you're not practicing well, that's on you as a player. And as a head coach, this is where I had an issue with McCarthy. He needs to hold guys accountable. He needs to put them in position to have good practices. If they're not having good practices, send them home. And, if they're showing up late, like Ezekiel Elliott, for example, he was the epitome of unprofessional his entire career. He didn't take care of his body very well, is what the sources inside, the Cowboys say. There's been some leaks around that. He was kind of the epitome of unprofessional. When you look at the Hot Boys, right? And D-Law was like the head of the Hot Boys wearing these stupid chains. I took issue with that right away, all right? That's like they went to a middle school and said, hey, guys, come up with a cool name for our defensive front. And some 7th grader said, yeah, the Hot Boys with a Z. Let's roll with that. And they embraced it. Like, could you imagine? When I think of professionalism, I think of like Dak Prescott. I think of like Tom Brady, right? Not saying those guys are the same caliber player, but how they approach the game, how they approach practice, how they approach take care of their bodies and getting better. All right. Could you imagine Tom Brady saying something stupid like the Hot Boys? What even is that? All right. This team needs professionals, and that's kind of why I'm sad about Jordan Lewis leaving, is because he kind of was the epitome of professionalism as well. He was a guy that brought it to practice. He brought it to the game. He was a guy that showed up time in and time out. And even though he was kind of undersized, he was a really good slot corner, one of the best in the league. survived many coaching staffs because of his approach to the game. He's a professional. And what D-Law did here in taking a parting shot on his way out, just like we've seen other guys do as well that have left, like Cole Beasley, like Dalton Schultz, like some of these other guys over the years, they take these parting shots. Well, why aren't they being leaders while they're here? Why aren't they correcting these things that they have issues with clearly while they're here? And it seems like maybe there was an issue in the locker room. Maybe DeMarcus Lawrence wasn't the leader that he thought he was. Maybe these guys didn't respect it because you've got Micah Parsons tweeting out, Sam Williams, Trayvon Diggs, who now went back and deleted his tweet, but Trayvon Diggs sent a tweet out. Chauncey Golston sent a tweet out, and he's not even here anymore. A lot of these guys came out and responded. DMO sent a tweet out. That's overshown. All right. And I don't know if it's just a tribalism thing where it's guys protecting their own, or if there was truly an issue in the locker room. But D-Law's response to Micah Parsons and Micah Parsons' response to the original D-Law interview makes me think maybe there were some underlying issues here in Dallas. And personally, I think the reason D-Law said that, I think he wanted to stay in Dallas. He wanted to finish his career in Dallas. It was clear to everybody that once D-Law's void money hit, Dallas wasn't going to bring him back. And I think he was a little sour that Dallas wasn't interested in bringing him back. And he got, obviously, a great contract in Seattle. Great job, dude. But to me, I just think there might be a little bit of sourdough bread there for DeMarcus Lawrence. And I think that's where this all kind of stems from him and him saying what he said. And Cowboys Nation is kind of split on this. I think most people are siding with Micah and some of the other players in this scenario, but there's a handful of people too that have sided with D-Law. I'm seeing people say, well, we all say the Cowboys front office is kind of garbage, and which, by the way, speak for yourself on that. I've defended their front office probably more than I should have over the years. I think they're doing an okay job right now in this free agency. They're adding depth, which is what they need. They're preparing themselves to go into the draft. Like at running back, they just signed Miles Sanders, or are about to sign Miles Sanders, I should say. They signed Javonte Williams. They're setting themselves up at certain positions to not have massive holes, so teams don't catapult them in the draft and take like a Genti in the first round over them, knowing Dallas has to have a guy because they have zero bodies at that position. So they're doing an all right job right now for agency. I would have liked to have seen them pursue a solid one technique or one of these linebackers like Spillane. They didn't. That's where I have some issues, but they're doing all right in this free agency period. 2024 was a shit show in free agency. I don't like what happened there. But anyways, I digress. It's different when a player who is seen as a leader in the organization comes out and then attacks that organization, even if it's just tongue-in-cheek, which I think it probably was here. He probably said it in a joking manner, didn't really mean it in a very serious way, but it ruffled some feathers, all right? And it kind of shows you maybe behind the scenes things weren't all sunshine and rainbows in that locker room. And listen, at the end of the day, I just want more guys on this team, more professionals. Enough with this little kid stuff, right? And to be fair to on Micah's part too, you know, tweeting out like that, like he could just let this stuff go. I do kind of like it though, to be honest with you. I do, even though it is somewhat childish, I do like him kind of standing on his own and being the vocal leader. This is a vocal leader type move, even though it's kind of childish. He's standing up for his organization. So is some of these other guys like Trey Diggs, even though he deleted his tweet. DMO and these other guys I mentioned. Sam Williams even had a tweet as well. He said, "Now is my time." I like these guys kind of stepping up and taking more of a vocal role here to stand up for the team, even if it's some of the stuff that D-Law said is true. I mean, I'm on record for saying I don't think this team's going to be a competitor in 2025. I think if they're lucky, if they have two really good off seasons, 2026, they could see this thing turn around. I'm predicting 2027 is when they're kind of really at the top of their game again, true competitors, assuming they stack back-to-back good off seasons, all right? And then 2027 is a cherry on top, or maybe they make an all-in move for a high-priced player that we haven't seen in some time, okay? But even if that's true, even if what D-Law is saying here might have some truth to it, you just don't do that. Just say something like this. Say, I appreciated my time in Dallas. I love the organization and the team. I love being there for 10 or 11 years, but it was time to move on. And this is where I am, and I'm focused on my new team moving forward. Something like that. I mean, that's professional, all right? Why do you have to go out of your way to poke the bear? But anyways, guys, that's my thoughts on this. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll catch you later.